Hi everybody, so my name's Lauren Baker and I'm a multidisciplinary artist. So that means I use a plethora of different materials and surfaces to create my artworks. And this session is all about you guys, so I'm going to give a really quick background so you can see the kind of things that I've made. But more importantly, how did I get to that point where I was in this creative flow state that I call blue sky thinking. Now, there's something called the creativity myth. Some people believe that creative people have this God-given talent of creativity, and other people say I haven't got a creative bone in my body. And I was brought up in and by the way, that's bollocks. And basically, creativity is innate in every single human. And it's just about, not everybody's had the opportunity to express themselves. And so this is all about kind of the steps and the creativity triggers to how it all evolves. Now, my journey started when, it started 8 years ago when I was, I'd done a degree in business and with psychology and sociology, and then I did 7 years in the corporate world. And I got to this point where I felt really disillusioned and I was searching for the meaning of life. And it led me to pick up a book called The Power of Now. Has anyone heard of that book? Great, amazing. I'm happy to say a lot of people have. So for me, the first trigger was this book. And as soon as and it's about living in the present moment. And as soon as I turned the last page of that book, I just knew that I had to quit my job. And so I quit my job the next day, and I knew I needed to free up my space and my patterns and being in a new state. So I decided to go to South America very suddenly. And within a few days, I found myself in South America. And a couple of weeks into the trip, I was off the coast of Rio. There's this beautiful island called Florianopolis, and I found myself there, and everywhere was covered in mosaics, the floor, the lampposts, the bins. It was crazy. So I found the person responsible, and it was an amazing woman called Liz Onda, and she had a street art project called Wall to Wall Love. And I joined her street art project, and I started creating mosaics. And I was 28 at the time. I hadn't made any art since I was 16 at school, and I got an A for art, but I didn't. I'm from Middlesbrough, and I'm from one of the worst cancer states in Middlesbrough, and art just wasn't really in my field. It just wasn't really. It didn't seem available. I had a belief system that it was for super rich people or super talented people, but I didn't really. It didn't feel like it was an option for me, so it hadn't dropped in. But when I was traveling, and also I didn't love drawing, and I still don't love it. I do it as part of my art sometimes, but it's not my favorite thing. It takes me a long time. And so I got to this point where I was in Brazil, and I started smashing up these mosaics, and I was making this street art, and I realized I was the happiest I'd felt in years. And it still didn't fully sink in, but I just knew I was really happy, and I went on the rest of my journey. And 3 months later, I found myself deep in the Peruvian Amazon, and I started meditating. This is me in Bolivia, actually, on the salt flats. And I started meditating more and more, and I met some shamans, and I was deep in the jungle, and I took part in ceremonies. And it was at this point where I felt this real opening and this higher consciousness, and I felt like I had this epiphany where I saw my true soul path, and I knew that I was an artist. It was a very sudden inner knowing, and it was like creativity, freedom, expression times 100, and this real self-belief in that I am an artist, even though I had nothing to show for myself, some really messy smashed up tiles on the streets of Brazil. So I researched where's the best place to study mosaics, because it was my only experience, and that was in Venice. So I'd actually spent all my money by this point in South America, and I had just enough money to pay for this 1 week course, and then I went on sofasurfing.com and stayed on a stranger's couch and did this little course, and just came back and announced that I was an artist with this belief. And then it's 8 years later, but these are my key creativity triggers. So I'm traveling, I'm meditating, I'm chasing sunsets, some crazy electricity going on with the screen, and I broke free from my job, and when I came back, I went on some courses as well, because I thought, well, this is a whole new thing, so I want to get some skills as well. So I was really interested in NLP and in coaching. So I did some free taster coaching courses and kind of like helped coach myself through the creative journey. So I want to talk about, so there's some of my creativity triggers. Now there's a study that says that there's a place that people are like the most creative. Do you think it is when you're on the toilet, when you're in the shower, or when you're cooking? Anyone know?
Shower.
Correct. Yeah, does anyone want to shout out any other places or things or books or anything that they know is their creativity trigger?
Massage table.
Nice. Massage table. Anyone else? Bed. Nice. Amazing.
On the M56.
When you drive in,
Yeah.
M56. Nice. Cool. Well, we'll have time to explore this further later. So, a little fact. Did you know that the studies show that people have between 50 and 80,000 thoughts a day. So that's over 2,000 thoughts an hour. And the National Science Foundation, they believe it's about 60,000 a day, and 80% of them are negative, and 95% of them are repetitive. Now, I really want to induce the positive mindset where you're feeling really relaxed and really free, so that all the creativity dots can join and you can spark some fresh ideas in this kind of relaxed, flowing state of being that I call blue sky thinking. So if you're up for it, I want to share with you something that I do in my practice, and it's a visualization where we tap into our creativity. So I invite you all to just give your bodies a little shake and just relax and close your eyes. This is going to be 5 minutes of your time, and I want you all to take in some really big, deep breaths. And just shrug your shoulders and feel yourself relaxing, breathing deeply with every fibre and molecule in your body. Feeling the seeds of creativity growing. So will you give yourself permission to unlock your creativity, to unlock your confidence, power, freedom, and expression? And I want you to visualize what your dream creative project is. Now just open your eyes and scribble down one sentence that summarizes what that dream creative project is. You've got 1 minute to just jot that down. Okay, now just keep that creative dream in your mind, and I'm going to share some creativity tips with you, and then we're going to come back to that dream. Okay, so for me, I've been exploring my creativity triggers, and you've seen it in the images of me doing my Kundalini yoga, traveling the world, chasing sunsets, I'm in nature, I'm reading my inspirational books, and these I know are my creativity triggers that allow me to open the space up for everything to flow and for me to feel that blue sky thinking. So for me, it's it's locations, it's a travel adventure, it's a book, and you might want to tune into your senses and which of the senses are triggering you, and then you need to know what your own triggers are so that you can have more of them in your life. Now there's a book that everybody should read because everybody is an artist, and it's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and it's my favorite creativity book of all. Has anyone read it? Brilliant, amazing. So in the book, she talks about two key things. One is the morning pages. So we've heard already that we have up to 80,000 thoughts a day, So we want to mind dump those thoughts in 3 pages of A4 pages of not taking your pen off the paper, just writing, even if you're writing, this is boring, I don't have time for this, da, da, da. But then you get to page 3, about halfway down, and I promise you the golden nuggets will come, and you'll have these great sudden insights that come from nowhere because you've just dumped all your thoughts, you've just cleared the way, you've just made space. So this is a practice that I took on from Julia Cameron, and I really rate it. And then also she does these artist dates. So she says that the artist is an inner child and we have to nurture it, take care of it and feed it. But we need to feed it with images and inspiration in all of creativity's forms, whether it's, poetry, dancing, reading, writing, art, galleries, everything. Just feed the inner artist. So sometimes I've been doing international shows and solo shows, and I'm super busy with commissions and installations, and my friends ring me and say, hey, what are you up to? Do you want to hang out? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to the Tate. And they're like, oh, cool, can I come? And I'm like, oh, no, sorry, I'm going on an artist date with myself. And they're like, okay, that's pretty weird. But, it's like I need that personal time one-on-one where I'm just really like playing with my inner child artist. And it's also important to spend time with friends too. But so the artist dates have been really key in my opening of my creativity. Another thing that I found really useful is technology. And I really use technology to help support my creativity. So I get really organized and I have an idea, and has anyone read the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, about how you get an idea and you've got to capture it quickly before it's gone? So I capture my ideas and I quickly put them on Trello, otherwise they're lost and I've forgotten them really quick. Does anyone use Trello? And there's other organization apps as well, but there's and then another thing is like Pinterest. So it's gathering all these images. And also, does anyone use Instagram? Yeah, so I see my social media feed and my fashion and everything that I do is just another exciting opportunity to express my creativity. So I like my Instagram feed to be quite curated, but I also don't want to spend loads of time over it. So I use Planoly, and that's an app that I just really fast just like put it all in and everything's looking all creative and flowing. Okay, so I'm really using technology to like help things just be flowing and easy. And then I'm also filling my feed, whether it's my social media feed or my life, with people who inspire me. Like I'm constantly listening to Audible. I'm always multitasking. I'm making art, I'm running to meetings, and I'm always listening to motivational speakers like Tony Robbins and Adam Robinson and Marianne Williamson and so many others. But I'm constantly on the go and I'm listening and I'm taking everything in. And if it isn't inspiring me, delete. I'm cutting it. So I'm choosing what comes into my life. And then if there's anyone here that really isn't clear on what their passion is yet, and I mean it took me to age 28 and I had to go on some pretty extreme adventures and journeys and find myself in the Peruvian Amazon to find my true inner calling and find my passion. And we don't all have those opportunities to be able to quit our jobs and everything, but what you can do is, if you're ever in doubt about what is my passion, what is my creative path, tune into what you really loved doing when you were like 5 years old. And there's some secret keys there to unlock. So for example, when I think about what I loved doing when I was 5, I was like running around the garden finding like little treasures of like shiny little objects. Or I was, and I was collecting them and I was putting them in little boxes. I was collecting my treasures, and another thing I love doing is riding my bike. And around that time, 8 years ago, when I was feeling really disillusioned and searching for the meaning of life, I started to think about, well, what makes me happy? And it was just very simple, going back to like when I was 5, and I was like, well, I really like riding my bike. I'm going to buy myself like a really cool bike. So I've got a nice Brompton bike and my favourite colour turquoise, and I'm riding around and I get lots and lots of my inspiration when I'm riding my bike. You know, it's just simple steps that lead you on the right path. And it might be that you liked climbing trees and you realise you need to be in nature, or it might be that you liked making mud pies and you need to be a chef. There's little secrets there. So you've seen my dream. It's to be an artist, and I love what I do. And after being an artist for 7 years, I kind of like tuned in again and was meditating and thinking, you know, am I going to be an artist my entire life? Because every 7 years, every cell in your body is rejuvenated and you're like a whole new person. So, and my journey has gone kind of like education for 7 years, you know, 7 years in the workplace, 7 years an artist, and I wanted to check in and be like, is this still my path, or should I be working for charities, or what's the thing? And I tuned in and I got a message that it's 100% my path till the day I die, and I can do all those other things. And one of the things I wanted to do was inspire other people to be creative, because I was pretty lost before I found my creativity, and I'm really happy and I love what I do and it doesn't feel like work. So that's my passion, and that's why I'm here today. So just to finish, there's a study that I found like so inspiring, and it's a nurse who worked in a terminally ill ward of a hospital, and as people were passing, she noticed the same 5 regrets coming up again and again, and she found that it was an actual thing. And so she did this official study with 1,000 people who were on their deathbed, and the same regrets came up. And I think a few of them are really relevant for this creativity talk right now. I think number 1 was, I wish I'd lived a life true to myself, not what others wished for me. Another one was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And another one was, I wish I'd let myself be happier. So we still have time. So it's really about finding your own personal creativity triggers and turning on your blue sky thinking. And from this place, your creativity will fly. So that's me done. Thank you.
For more debates, talks and interviews, subscribe today to the Institute of Art and Ideas at IAI TV.